The thing I really like about the US is it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. It's all that matters is what you do. As far as where we live in Columbus, it's a Midwestern town, and it's got land all the way around it. We were used to really sort of tight urban spaces, and so trying to maximize the potential of square footage. Which that concept didn't really exist in the Midwest then, because you could just build something bigger and do whatever else. And so what we figured is if you can optimize a building, we felt that may set us apart a little bit. It also coincided with the whole sustainability lead certification thing that was sort of really beginning to gain popularity then. So we felt if we use our knowledge from India, but in a US context, and optimize buildings, we've been able to build slightly smaller buildings, which cost less and actually cost less to run, but will do the same thing. So then that's where we came up with the tag "build less," and then we always get asked about it, and then when we explain it, people go, "That makes perfect sense." Her sort of skills are more on the front end. My skills will be more on the back end as far as construction goes. And so that's why when we started the company, it was perfect, because now, it's really difficult. I'm sure there are some people who can do all of it, but that's not us. So we thought between the two of us, we can at least cover, three sort of major aspects, which make it easy to sort of run a company. And I think we both, at least from an entrepreneurial perspective, have the same vision. So we both wanted to always own our own company. So I guess that's something shared, because there's a lot of risk and there's a lot of overhead, and it's quite rewarding, but at the same time you do carry a lot of personal liability in sort of starting a company. I think regionally there tended to be two types of firms. There were firms that did good design but didn't really document. They didn't produce highly detailed documents, and then they were considered the design firms. And then there were firms that were considered production firms that did really good documents, but didn't necessarily do good design. And then we sort of felt that didn't make sense, because we felt to be a competent professional, you should be able to do both. And so we modeled our practice from the beginning to basically deliver a complete product that's well designed and well documented. It's not just a design of the building. It's got to do with how you interact with your clients. It's got to do with how you deliver the building. It's got to do with how you present the building during design phases. It's to do with how you document the building. That's our philosophy. I think the thing I really like about the US is it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. It's all that matters is what you do. I have personally, we have personally never really faced any discrimination because of where you are from. You get a better understanding of the dynamics between architects and their clients, which is we in the end build for our clients, and I think that sort of understanding is sort of universal. It doesn't matter whether you do work in India or you do work in the US. So Indians were perceived as people who could only be employees back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Well, this is mostly credit to the last generation of Indians who moved to the US in, I would say, the 70s, 80s, 90s onwards. They did all the hard work in convincing banks, convincing people that Indians are very good business people. And I think because of what they did, Indians are highly respected now as business people, and so I think we benefited from that. And then when we started up, people almost expect you to be good because of the good work that last generation did for us. So there's a lot of involvement from the community in terms of what they would like to see in their environment. And then there are a lot of requirements from your users in terms of the function of the building, because these are buildings in the US are very expensive, and construction is expensive, though energy is sort of relatively cheaper. Construction itself is really expensive because labor is expensive, and so you really want to dial in on the use of a building. The people that live in the neighborhood of the building have got a lot to say about what the building should be. That's a good and a bad thing. Sometimes it's good because technically you don't have illogical growth. It's challenging because sometimes their perspective on what should be in the neighborhood doesn't always, I wouldn't say it doesn't make sense, but sometimes may not be fully relevant. Whereas here, I think it's it's done on a plot by plot basis, not so much of a neighborhood by neighborhood basis. Now our personal philosophy is we actually feel if you can come up with if you can use all those restrictions, you can come up with something more interesting. It's a product that you're putting in the environment that has many users besides yourself, many more people interact with it. And I think a truly successful building is one that works for everybody, not just for the vision of the architect or the designer. Probably the difference there was you didn't have to document as much because you had more presence on site. Whereas in the US, it is your presence on site is only to verify that drawings are that construction is being done according to your drawings, but your drawings have to stand for themselves. We do have a lot more air pollution here, but the Western world had that 80 years ago or 100 years ago, and they sort of figured it out. And I think the challenge in India is going to be it's the same thing, but the volume of people is exponentially more. So I think in some ways inherently India had good practices. I think now the challenge is going to be to sort of not lose those in growth, which I think is happening a little bit. They are taking care of the environment, and now they're going backwards and trying to make trying to make their buildings more efficient. Whereas here the buildings were efficient, but in growth we are sort of affecting the environment. And I guess it's a question of both sides of the world sort of coming back to a more centric approach where everything is sort of done more responsibly.